Jake Paul's California mansion has been raided by the FBI, multiple news organizations report. You can see in this aerial footage agents in uniform outside his home in Calabasas.
You know what's funny about your brother? Your brother talks more shit than anybody else on the planet. They're trying to sue people when people talk shit. There's people out there saying they're fake fights, they're fixed.
You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference, and, you know, Joshua's a former, you know, champion. And also, you know, he's current, he's active.
That was not a boxing match. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this contest. And then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again.
Here we go again with Jake Paul landing right in the middle of another massive controversy that might actually finish off his entire boxing career for good. This time around, brand new allegations are surfacing that Paul supposedly rigged his biggest fights, including that huge Netflix showdown with Anthony Joshua, and the internet is going absolutely wild with these claims.
FBI agents have raided the Southern California home of YouTube star Jake Paul. Federal officials say the search was part of an investigation. Wendy Birch is in Calabasas with what we're learning tonight.
Sky 5 was overhead this morning as federal agents entered Jake Paul's Calabasas home located in this gated community off of Mulholland Highway. We counted close to 24 federal agents, some of them in tactical gear, entering the residence. Why they were here and what they were looking for, that remains unclear. The federal search warrant has been sealed and no one is offering any additional information.
You've got people all over social media saying both Paul brothers actually got arrested because of these supposed fixed fight schemes, though promoters and boxing officials are shooting back hard, saying there's no way professional matches can be predetermined without facing serious legal trouble. But the doubt surrounding whether Paul is actually legitimate in that ring has hit levels we've never seen before.
Manufactured than earned.
Because I've always been curious about this, because, like, you know, you saw the Askren fight, we saw these fights that he went into. The Fury one obviously didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, just because I was so convinced that, like, Jake had these fights fixed, and there's a lot of people who talk about the fights being fixed because it's just the way it is.
Yeah, they tell me that too. They're like, tell me you're not going to take a fall against Paul. Everybody says that to me. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could have paid me all the money in the world.
Talk about a plot twist for someone who's already had the FBI show up at his Calabasas place with a search warrant. Right now, with all these accusations flying around and people questioning his boxing skills more than ever, everyone's wondering the same thing. Could this actually be the moment Jake Paul's incredible run finally comes crashing down?
What happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands. If I say, Rampage, I'm going to pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you, what you going to do? You're going to feel disrespected, number one. Right? That ain't enough money. For me to do that, I got to be willing to walk away for good. Something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do.
Boxing experts, retired fighters, and fight promoters have been calling out Jake Paul's legitimacy for years now, way before any of these arrest stories even started making round. When you look at his carefully chosen opponents who are way past their best years, the weird timing during fights, those convenient late round knockouts, and contracts that people say have all kinds of weird restrictions, critics keep saying Paul's whole rise feels staged.
A high school graduate in the United States is $1.3 million. Again, that's over the course of the person's entire life. Jake Paul earned 30 times that in one night. People talk about winners and losers, like Jake Paul won and Mike.
Nobody who knows this sport seems surprised anymore. The experienced voices in boxing keep making the same point over and over. Sure, Paul brings huge crowds and massive paydays to the sport, but his opponents are almost always picked to avoid any real danger.
Wearing assless chaps, though, in it.
Yeah, did that moment go viral with his cheeks out?
I don't know. It made my stomach hurt.
I was seeing it
Why didn't he
while
have
I was
underwear
ringside. He had a G-string on, is what he had.
Almost.
I thought he was completely butt naked.
Nah, he looked like a stripper.
But yeah, biggest live gate, 18.1 millions in U.S. boxing history outside of Las Vegas. A phenomenal night. I'm sorry I didn't knock him out, though, guys.
Shut the fuck up. It was crazy when we talked about this. I told him.
This keeps feeding into people's suspicions that the whole thing is designed to keep the Jake Paul brand looking good instead of actually testing if the guy can really fight. Every time something new like this comes up, it doesn't stand alone. It just adds more proof to what a lot of people already believe, that Jake Paul's entire boxing story has been about image, money, and staying in control, not about the raw and unpredictable violence that makes boxing what it really is.
Jake Paul, fake Paul I call him, against Anthony Joshua.
Looking back at that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight, people went crazy over how intense and dramatic everything looked. Stories started spreading about some leaked script that supposedly showed the whole Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight was planned out ahead of time, and it sent the internet into total chaos.
Still got a big punch. I think he's mentally fragile at world level if he goes against the big guns because of the knockout, especially the bar knockout when he got fucking splattered. You know what I mean? In round 5, and he got hurt early on and then he got done. And he's not been in the ring for 13 months.
Yeah.
But can you see a world in which Jake Paul is competitive in this fight?
No.
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 How do you see the fight going if AJ takes it serious?
These alleged audio clips started popping up everywhere, with people claiming they proved that all the big dramatic moments, like when Tyson got tired and Paul knocked him out, were completely fake from the start.
He's very big. I'm here to shock the world, inspire the next generation. We're in the Heat arena. I'm a big Heat fan. Miami's on fire. This is my first pro fight, was in Miami against Gibb. I'm bringing that same energy here. First round KO.
After beating Mike Tyson, Jake Paul didn't hold back when talking about how the whole thing went down. With total confidence, Paul said he barely took any real hits and never felt like he was in danger during the fight. He made it sound like he completely controlled Tyson without breaking a sweat.
Is Jake Paul natural? No. I can say that with pretty certain confidence in that statement, mainly because, as you heard me mention, I know a lot of the people he trains with and I have heard things. Now let's give Jake the benefit of the doubt, right? He's able to restrain from the peer pressure that everyone's putting on him to hop on these certain compounds. Then that would be cool to train natural, do what he needs to do. But the thing is, his body composition has changed so much, his explosiveness, his power, and yes, that comes with training and time. But I find it very, very suspicious that for some reason, whenever a drug test gets brought up, for instance, when Fury wanted that in the contract, Jake Paul turns them down. So you should think to yourself, it's probably because he's not natural. Now I want to make it clear, I don't care whether Jake Paul is natural or not. There's so many people that aren't natural that are in combat sports. In fact, Tyron Woodley probably is also not natural. Everyone wants that little edge over their competition, and that's where drugs and anabolics come into play. There's certain compounds that are out there that just increase your explosiveness immensely, your recovery, so that you can stay in the same weight class, which is very important for combat sports, whether that's boxing, UFC, whatever type of combat sport you're doing. So that is why you guys have seen so much improvement from Jake Paul. Of course, he has a great circle around him, great trainers, great coaches, a great regimen, but definitely anabolics play a very fundamental role in that. They allow him to train as hard as he does. They allow him to increase his power and speed. And of course, when you think of those concepts, that's essentially the recipe to win in a combat sport.
Paul's supporters went wild over these comments, pointing to them as clear evidence that he's got serious skills and can handle even the biggest legends in the game. But the people who don't buy into Paul weren't having it at all. They immediately started pointing out how boring and safe the whole fight looked, questioning whether Tyson even tried and wondering if this was actually a real competition at all.
I think it's actually, so you think that Jake Paul...
You couldn't fake it. You didn't think Anthony Joshua's going to put his whole livelihood on the line for Jake Paul?
No, I don't think he would.
So there you go. It's over when he wants it to be over.
There could be some kind of tacit agreement in the background.
How?
Where they have a handshake.
Then that's illegal. You're going to jail.
Exactly, it's illegal. That's what I was going to say.
So you can't.
Because it's not an exhibition.
No, it's a fight.
So we're
and people are betting on it. Big amounts of money.
So we're watching this. I'm flying out there next week to Miami to watch it. So I'm going out there. He's laughing. I'm getting some old. So it's all good. But it's like Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua, 6 foot, was he 6'6"?
About that.
Fucking, what is he, 16? What's 245 pounds?
He can't be a pound over 245.
What's that in stone?
The best part, just on 17 stone or just under.
So, Jake lost to Tommy Fury, and that's the one everyone keeps on. Do you think he's improved much since Tommy Fury?
Yeah, but do I think he's improved enough to be competitive? Unless I close my eyes and Josh is completely shot to bits, no.
Yeah, and so is the potential that Jake Paul, like, I know you keep saying no, I know you're right, but is there a world in which you see Jake
The respect was there at the end though. You kept it professional, bowed to the legend, handled it with class. But this upcoming Anthony Joshua situation is following the exact same pattern.
The Tyson versus Paul script was fully leaked all the way down to the bow Jake did in round 8. This profile on X posted it anonymously one day before the fight, explaining everything before deleting it today. A fake script has been going around that said Mike Tyson will get KO'd in round 5, but that one was clearly not real or an older script. This will give you goosebumps. I'm just going to read you parts, but if you want to see the full script, I'll show you it at the end. Round 1, opening bell rings and Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, but slower than his prime. Round 2, Tyson comes alive, but his breathing grows heavier. Round 3, Paul gains confidence and lands a sharp right that stuns Tyson. That's exactly what happened. Then round 4 and 5, the fatigue sets in strong for Tyson and Jake is landing a bunch of hits. Round 6, Jake showboats, which is the tongue thing he did here. Then on round 7, Jake plays it safe to not KO Mike. And round 8 wins by decision and bows at the end. This is crazy. Subscribe, and if you want to read it yourself, it's right here.
Fight commentators are calling this matchup completely ridiculous when you actually break down the numbers. The experience gap, the size difference, the level of competition each guy has faced. It's like comparing a YouTube creator to a proven champion. A content creator turned boxer with a 12-1 record going up against someone who held the heavyweight title twice and spent his whole career fighting the absolute best in the world.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was 100% scripted. Mike Tyson repeatedly bit his boxing glove throughout the fight. When fights are scripted, fighters do weird gestures to signal that they're hurt. It's very possible Mike Tyson was biting on his glove to tell Jake Paul to calm down. Now, if that's not enough proof that this fight was scripted, in the middle of the fight, Mike Tyson is literally talking to Jake Paul while they are clinching. And in the middle of the fight, the referee told Jake Paul to stop measuring. For those of you who don't know, in boxing terms, measuring means that you're setting up for a knockout by seeing how far your opponent is with jab. The referee literally told Jake Paul to stop measuring, and before the fight, we see Mike Tyson and Jake Paul whispering stuff to each other. Mike Tyson biting on his gloves, whispering secrets to Jake Paul in the middle of the fight, and the referee literally telling Jake Paul to stop measuring during the fight. That should be enough proof that this fight is scripted.
Most experts are looking at this as a completely one-sided affair, with Paul looking more like a big payday than someone who actually deserves to be in there, which just keeps adding fuel to the idea that this whole thing is entertainment first and sports second.
People who say Anthony is ruining his legacy just by taking this fight. Fans don't respect what he's done in the sport already. He's an Olympic gold medalist, 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. I sort of sympathize with him because I feel like if he doesn't beat him quicker than he beat Francis, people are just going to write it off. I'll ask you bluntly, have there been any discussions about there's an agreement, there's a secret contract? Have any of those discussions happened regarding this fight? It's an 8-round professional fight. AJ wouldn't have taken it if that was the stance it had to be, if it was an exhibition, if it was you've got to hold him up for 8 rounds. It wouldn't suit Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going in there to knock out Jake Paul.
Sorry, just to silence all the doubters here, you know, a lot of people saying this can't be real, you know, Anthony Joshua going in there, it must be an exhibition, or Anthony Joshua's going to it's going to be choreographed and Anthony's going to carry him through a couple of rounds. I know Anthony Joshua, just to silence all those doubters, he's going to go in there to do a job, right?
It's 100% real. It's 100% real. People ask him, why is it 8 rounds, not 10? Because I don't think it goes past the first round. So it's, you know, regardless, it's quite irrelevant. I think he steps across the ring and knocks him out, you know? But we're in for a bit of fun and everyone's going to be tuning in.
It might not be fun for Jake Paul. I mean, it's serious entertainment, is it?
Yeah, 100%. You know, look, I agree with you. I accept Jake Paul is absolutely mental for doing this, and I don't think he quite realises. I think he's got people around him who actually are saying, you know, Anthony Joshua's chinny. He said it in interviews. It's quite wild, but you know, if that's the world he wants to live in, he'll find out on December 19th.
And Frank, to finish with, the plan is still sometime in 2026, AJ against Tyson Fury, and Turki Al-Sheikh's working on that, is he?
That's the fight we want to make. That's the fight we want to see. Look, we're all guilty of doing a lot of talking over the years and that not happening. So I don't want to talk too much, but that is definitely what we want to see in 2026. It's one of the biggest fights in the sport, and I'm very hopeful that we will.
This is the real deal heavyweight champion we're talking about. When he decides this fight is finished, that's when it ends. no questions asked.
Within media circles,
I get so many people can't speak. Yeah, but it's obviously scripted, isn't it? I'm like, no. One, that's illegal. I mean, this is a professional contest. Two, we would never sign up to anything that's going to make AJ look bad or devalue him, lose rounds, go loads of rounds.
Do you think there's any world in which AJ pulls back, though?
No, absolutely. He couldn't do that as a fighter. He would be incapable of going in there and holding back. I mean, I think the only thing that's a bit harsh is if Anthony Joshua doesn't knock him out in the first round, he should be ashamed of himself. Like, Brian, give us 2, or 3. Because if Jake does move, he can look after himself. It's not like he's just going to get one shot round the arm and go on the floor.
But here's what's really catching people off guard. Jake Paul is walking into this fight with a level of confidence that's making even the most experienced boxing people do double takes. Recent interviews show him genuinely believing he can step up and pull off the upset. This time feels different from his other fights. Paul seems laser focused and more determined than anyone's seen him before. The people watching his training camps are saying his mental game is absolutely crucial here, and that confidence comes from being in the best physical and mental shape of his life. This tells you he's not taking this lightly or underestimating what it means to face a former heavyweight king. Instead, he's treating this like his chance to prove he belongs on the biggest stage in combat sports. But all that rising confidence Jake Paul is showing has a lot of experienced boxing analysts shaking their heads. The critics are saying Paul's belief that he can actually compete with Anthony Joshua is completely disconnected from reality. Joshua brings years of elite training, multiple championship reigns, and the kind of tested durability that Paul has never even come close to facing. People watching Paul's recent performances are also starting to whisper that his physical transformation and in-ring stamina might not be entirely natural. Even with all the drama and controversy swirling around, the betting money is pouring in on this fight, and that gambling action is becoming its own source of controversy around the Paul Joshua event. Regular fans, casual bettors, and some pretty famous personalities are all putting serious cash on different outcomes, which just keeps adding more questions about whether we're looking at a real sporting competition or an elaborate show designed to entertain. So what's your take? Do you think this is going to be a legitimate fight? When those leaked script allegations started spreading everywhere, fighters who had previously stepped in the ring with Jake Paul started getting hit with serious criticism, with people accusing them of selling out their reputations. Fans began speculating that Tyson basically sold his soul to Paul, destroying his legendary status by agreeing to participate in what looked like a completely fake fight. People watching the Jake Paul matches started noticing really strange moments, like Tyson supposedly giving Paul quiet coaching during the action, and referees seeming to warn Paul away from certain tactics. These weird interactions just made everyone more convinced that the whole thing was choreographed ahead of time. The CEO of Matchroom Boxing has come out swinging against claims that the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight is fixed or predetermined. He's been crystal clear that if this fight happens, it's going to be a legitimate professional bout following all the proper boxing regulations, not some exhibition or scripted performance, directly challenging all the rigging rumors. Frank Smith just dropped some serious accusations about the Anthony Joshua-Jake Paul fight, saying the whole event is way more about putting on a show than actually competing in a sport. His argument is that instead of getting a real boxing match, fans are going to witness a carefully crafted spectacle built for entertainment value, not a genuine test of who's the better fighter. Smith's position is that what people are paying for is designed to create buzz and surprise rather than honor what boxing is supposed to represent. When he calls it premium entertainment, he's basically questioning whether there's going to be any real competition or authenticity in that ring. Smith did say he's still holding on to hope that a Fury-Joshua mega fight could eventually happen. He called that potential bout the most significant fight that could possibly be arranged, showing optimism that by 2026, this massive clash will actually become reality. But Smith also warned that boxing is filled with empty promises, and plenty of hyped-up fights never actually materialize, suggesting that while the concept gets everyone excited, there are still tons of business and contract obstacles that need to be worked out. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has directly responded to all the scripting accusations, though his answers have created their own controversy. Hearn made jokes about the only script being Joshua's plan to come out and finish Paul as fast as humanly possible, a comment he said was meant to emphasize how serious this fight is, and shut down any talk of predetermined results. But the fact that he even has to publicly mock and correct these claims just shows how much this conspiracy talk has spread among fans and critics. So what do you think? Is this actually the moment the Jake Paul era finally ends? Or is this just another controversy he's going to survive and move past? Share what you think in the comments section.